oh my gosh, CNN doesn't know what to make of these poll numbers. And it's, by the way, a CNN poll. So that's the funny part about it. This is great. Okay, let's go to Harry Anson. He's got a lot of energy. I like this guy. But he's like flabbergasted. He's like, man, oh man, oh man. The Democrats can't get out of their own way. They kind of suck on everything.
Yeah, you would think after all of the waves, Kate Baldwin, after the last few months, the first 5 months of the Donald Trump presidency, right, the first 4 months of the Donald Trump presidency, that you expect that Democrats would have this massive lead on the economy. It ain't so. It ain't so. The party that is closest to your economic views, in November of 2023, it was the Republicans by 11 points. Now it's still within that range, still within that margin of error, plus 8-point advantage for the Republican Party. How is that possible, Democrats? How is that possible after all the recession fears, after the stock market's been doing all of this, after all the tariffs that Americans are against, and Republicans still hold an 8-point lead on the economy? Are you kidding me?
No, we're not kidding you. Harry, we're not kidding you, because you know what? Look at what Joe did. For goodness sakes, you were near double-digit inflation under Joe Biden. And then Donald Trump comes into office and suddenly energy prices start going down. You're paying less at the gas pumps and you're paying less at the grocery store. And so, yeah, it's been a little rocky in the market, but actually things are doing better. We're going to talk about that in a second. And so people are like, no, well, this party gets me. And this president's actually doing something about inflation instead of sitting there saying it's all in my head, right? That was the best. I'll never forget that. There was one Morning Joe episode where they're like, really, there's no inflation? I mean, we heard the same thing on The View. There's no inflation. It's not that bad, right? Like and it's like, guys, okay, here's the deal. So it went up, 9.6% in its height? It was going up 4%, 5%, 6%, 9.6% consumer prices. And so then, the next month, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but suppose it went up 6%. And they're like, woo, it's coming down. I'm like, no. It was up 9.6%. And then it's up 6 point something percent. In other words, this is cumulative. Prices I'm still amazed at prices, right? So yeah, they're coming down a little bit, but inflation gets baked in pretty darn easily. And so that was not a good economic scenario. And it really is the economy, stupid. Let's go back to Harry. He's shocked at his own poll.
This is new CNN polling.
Yes.
How is that, when we look for trends, how is that trending with other data that you're pulling in?
Yeah, if it was just this one CNN poll, that would be one thing. But take a look at Reuters Ipsos. What do we see here? Party with a better economic plan. Well, in May of 2024, just before Donald Trump was reelected president, Republicans had a 9-point advantage. Look at where we are now in May of 2025. The advantage actually went up by 3 points. Now Republicans have a 12-point advantage when it comes to the party with a better economic plan. And again, this is after months of supposed economic uncertainty in which the stock market's been going bonkers, in which the tariff wars that Americans are against have been going on. And yet, despite all of that, the Democrats are down by 12 points on the economy. This speaks to Democratic problems on the economy better than basically anything that you could possibly look at. The Republicans still hold an advantage on the all-important key issue of the day. And that is the reason why, even if Donald Trump's approval ratings are a little bit lower than they used to be, Republicans are not out of the ballgame because they still have a clear advantage on the economy, whether you look at CNN's polls or whether you look at the Ipsos poll right here, in which they have a 12-point advantage on the economy, Kate.
Pretty amazing, right? Pretty. And it's simple. It's like people want somebody who's looking out for their economic interests. And by the way, America's economic interests. The American dream is something that's unique and special to the United States of America. Nobody else is aspirational around the world. You know why? Because they're all socialists or God knows what, worse, right? So what do we have here going for us? We got capitalism, pure, raw capitalism. It may not be perfect, but I'll tell you, it's the best game in town. You try the alternative anywhere else in the world and you see what you get pretty darn fast. Again, Harry's shocked. He took a historical look at who's traditionally represented the middle class, and he can't believe that the GOP has taken over that space. I told you this would happen. You're already seeing, unions, unions or whatever. We can complain about unions another day, but a lot of those union workers, they've come over to the Trump side. Why? Because he's actually saying, I'm going to keep your jobs here instead of shipping everything off to China or Mexico, where people are going to work for a fraction of the price. I'm not saying we have to produce everything here. Don't get me wrong. We've talked about that, right? Socks and underwear, if you want to make that in Vietnam or Thailand or whatever, maybe the time is better spent so that we can work on high-tech manufacturing, semiconductors. These are the jobs of the future. Donald Trump gets that. The Democrats are often left field. Here's Harry.
And also in the CNN data, it does show that Republicans are gaining ground in an area that is key relating to all of this, which is when it comes to the middle class.
Yeah. You know, historically speaking, which is the party of the middle class has been a huge advantage for Democrats. I have polling from NBC going all the way back since 1989 when Democrats had a 23-point advantage. 2016, a 17-point advantage. But by this decade, we already started seeing declines back in 2022 where you saw that Democrats led, but only by 4 points, well within the margin of error. And now in our latest CNN poll among registered voters, which is the party of the middle class, it is tied. This, I think, speaks to Democratic ills more than anything else. They have traditionally been the party of the middle class. No more. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have taken that mantle away, and now a key advantage for Democrats historically has gone adios amigos, and now there is no party that is the party of the middle class. Republicans have completely closed the gap, Kate.
All right. There's a lot of messages and a lot to be learned from these numbers. And
I think they've actually taken over. Like, it's more than closing the gap. They've totally taken that space over. And so you're going to see like the AOCCs of the world try and get out there and say, oh, but we can do more for you on the economy. But you guys had a shot. And it was a miserable freaking disaster, okay? Like just an epic, total disaster with inflation and then, you know, not enough jobs. And what do you see now? Oh, we're adding jobs. It was 200 and something thousand 2 months ago. And then we got like another 100 and was it 78,000? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but you know what? We have them right here. I want to show you this because they had some CNN commentator on who's going on and on about the economy and saying Donald Trump's doing a terrible job on the economy. And I'm like, guy, like where did they find you? This is part of the problem with the media. They don't actually read the headlines. He had no clue what the jobs report was. Where does CNN find these people? This particular gentleman seems to think that we're losing all kinds of jobs ever since Donald Trump came into office. It's actually the opposite.
People lost their jobs. There were material consequences because of a severe disruption. I'm not sure what percentage. I'm not percentage. Well, here's the question. What percentage of job loss is fine?
But we're not losing jobs. We're gaining them. Does he not read the news? 177,000 jobs added to our economy last month. It was far more than anybody thought. Consumer confidence is up. The stock market is up. Things are good, buddy. Get a grip. Yeah, but don't tell him that because that's not going to fit their narrative, right? So these are devastating new poll numbers. They don't get why Americans actually think Donald Trump is good on the economy. But you know what? Just look at the markets. That tells you a lot. And we're looking at a market that's higher again today. Why? Trump optimism, baby, right? And there's more of it coming that way. You heard him over there in the Middle East, remember?
Amazing what a rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You're going to see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion of investment and jobs, and great companies are coming in.
That's good for us. By the way, just a quick shout out to my76research.com. I just want to remind you about that. Here's a look at some of our portfolios. We actually have new data on the top stocks that just came out yesterday for our portfolio. How should I say this? Subscribers. I was going to say holders, but we don't actually manage your money. You do that. I think it's actually really, really important for people to take ownership of their own investing, right? So don't farm it out to somebody else. Make sure you're doing it. Make sure you have the right research, though, hopefully to guide you and steer you in the right direction. So that is why I created 76 Research. You can use code dollar and just get the 76 report at least, or if you're willing to pay a little bit more money, those portfolios are great value for you. And the idea here is you want to keep beating at least the S&P, right? And so hopefully over time, this is what we're able to do for you by picking some stocks, 8 to 10 in each portfolio. And we've had some tremendous winners. Of course, it's been a very good month, which has a lot to do, right, with the polling data as well. I mean, very, very good month. And again, that's why the Democrats are struggling with these awful poll numbers. One more shout out for American Heart for Gold. Don't forget our friends over there, trishlovesgold.com. You can get up to $15,000 in free silver, well, with qualifying offers. 1-844-495-1111. or text Trish to 65532. You know, gold is one of those things. Let me see how it's doing today. It's been hitting all-time highs. It's just actually kind of amazing. Something that I include in my own portfolio because I consider it a good diversification tool, but I tend to buy it. Oh, maybe I'll buy some today. It's down 0.6%, 33.75 at this point. Reminder, subscribe, share, like. It's really important on the show.